Good morning, everyone. We awakened this morning to a beautiful, sunny, stunning day with snow on the ground. So it was a little interesting. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. This is just a disclaimer to two male friends of mine that posted yesterday. This is not product. This is just out of the shower. And another friend of mine, John, wondered if I was going to eventually do a man bun, because Laura has been taking care of cutting all of our hair. So I haven't reached, I don't know if I'm going to not get a haircut until this is all over. I think I'd probably be calling a lawyer for divorce court because Laura said you're not ZZ Top.
Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic. Oh,
Joe
God.
Exotic.
Oh. Okay, so I just want to get that out of the way.
Well, he's gonna start combing parts forward. It's gonna get long in the back.
I need to get the four piercings in the ear. Yes. Hello, everyone. I just want to get that away to Doug and John. So this is not product. This is just shower hair. So yes.
And I'm just going to give a little shout out. I got a really lovely little pick-me-up gift the other day, dropped on our doorstep at the clinic. That was an aromatherapy spray by Karen Kirchen. And it is a special Reiki spray. It smells delicious and beautiful.
We love it. We love
so
Karen
relaxing, and it changes the energy
Karen.
of the room. And then this beautiful hand-painted rock with a lotus on it, and it just really lifted my spirits.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Karen always knows how to change the energy of the space.
Timing's everything.
Yes, I appreciate it.
So we are going to talk about something that's, of course, in every news item practically you hear. So we're going to address it. We're going to talk about the lungs today. We've kind of edging our way towards that. We talk about allergies and sinus, which of course are directly connected with the lung. We talked about, but we're going to go a little more in depth and just give some, like we talked about just about doing steaming for your sinuses, which also benefit your lungs.
Yes.
Incidentally, the mint and the eucalyptus. So, I'm married to the research queen, so and the fullest respect to that. So she's going to talk a little bit about the lung element. We did some points our first broadcast, I think.
Yes.
But we'll just kind of maybe take 10 seconds, 50 seconds to review those. So if we have time.
Yeah. So lungs, right now we're hearing so much because that is one of the main organs affected with COVID, but also so important in Chinese medicine all the time because the lungs actually are responsible for our first line of defense, which we call our immune system in the Western medicine, but our Wei Qi.
Wei? No way.
Wei.
No way.
Wei.
All right. Shout out to Wayne's World.
Not that way. No, it's actually spelled W-E-I.
Yeah. Okay, we have to amuse ourselves.
I know. And that's kind of dating us, actually.
Yes, if everybody saw Wayne's World, no way, he and Garth. All right.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. All right, so anyway, back to the Wei Qi. So it's our first line of defense, important to keep our lungs healthy as a result. In the 5-element theory, which we've talked about before when we talked about the liver, there are 5 different elements. They relate to different organ systems, different seasons. Mm-hmm. The lungs are the metal elements. And the season that corresponds with the lungs is autumn or fall.
Normally, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And you sometimes will see more lung symptoms pop up at that time period. It's a time when the seasons are changing. It's starting to get from warmer weather to cooler weather. So you'll start to see some colds.
And the air gets drier, right? Even in China, where they didn't have central air at the time that all was founded, it just got drier because you're inside more, and they used hearth to keep them warm, so that dries out the air, which of course dries out sinuses and etc. So.
Yes, and we experience that here with our forced
air
heat.
Big time.
So
in November, the cough treatment, upper respiratory stuff in our clinic goes like this.
Yeah.
Way before COVID. Yeah. I mean, just goes just like this.
It really does. So. It really does. The lungs are also important for circulating the qi and the fluids in the body. We were just talking about the fluids, so making sure that we have enough and a good balance of both those substances of our energy, of our fluids. The sense organ is the nose. So we spoke a lot about the nose.
There's no missing mine.
Yeah. So if you have any sinus or nasal imbalances, or even your sense of smell, and you come into the clinic and you want to get treated, we would look at the lungs as well. So.
And this just hit me when you said that.
Yeah.
And one of the early diagnostic features of COVID-19 is you lose your sense of smell and taste. It's one of the early first onset. That's one of the things that is lost.
Yeah, and that is usually that loss of sense of smell is an inflammation of part of the nasal cavity and sinuses. So there's some kind of inflammation that's going on that's causing that, because it happens with COVID, but it also happens with other colds and viruses and that type
I've had
of
many
thing,
patients who I try to get their sense of taste back because they had a severe sinus infection a couple years ago, and we're trying to reclaim their sense. It can, way before COVID, this is years of seeing this. So.
Yes, yeah. So the tissue, Chinese medicine, all the organs are related to a certain tissue of the body. The lungs are related to your skin, which makes sense because it's your first line of defense. And if you think about something, like when you first catch something, like a little germ, a virus, your skin, you might experience some temperature changes and you might have some sweating. And that's the pores opening up, trying to release the toxins. So the lungs are actually in charge of that.
And part of what the Chinese say is the lungs, like Laura said, are associated with the skin as well. And if you think about the skin, it opens and contracts just like the lungs. Inhale and exhale. It expands and contracts, just like the lungs. So they almost call this the external lung because you can actually see it. It's how the pores, and Laura said, with sweating and cooling the body off and things like that. So. And
that sweating is actually detoxifying. So, if you can ride out the fever, of course not to an unhealthy level, but if you can ride out the fever, it can be really helpful. Okay, so the taste for the lungs is pungent or spicy. So if you think about that too, what happens when you eat spicy food? Oftentimes you'll experience that you sweat.
Sure.
And your nose runs. So it's almost like it's opening things up and releasing things. So eating some spicy food can be helpful for the lungs and for the sinuses, and not overdoing it. All these things are in moderation, but they can be helpful.
Of course, and know your own limitations, of course, everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we love our spicy food in this household.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's so good.
It is. It's interesting to watch our two 20 and 18-year-old children. My son's been into the spicy for a long time, and now seeing our daughter get into it and stuff, because they see the health benefit of it too. They're both really getting into that as well, which we're happy about.
They are. This definitely one of the things about being on pause is they see our practices even deeper. So
yes,
and I think they're at an age too where they're more receptive than maybe they were as teenagers. So the time for the lung is 3 to 5 a.m. We talked about the circadian rhythm and the Chinese body clock. So from that time period, 3 to 5 a.m., that's a great time to be able to, hopefully you're resting at that time period. Right. And if for some reason that's your wake cycle, you go to bed early and you get up super early, that might be a good time to practice something with the lungs, like meditation, deep breathing, something where you're exercising the lungs, like yoga, or Tai Chi or Qigong, where you're really, part of that exercise is really breathing.
And Laura has mentioned the Oregon clock before. It's called the Harari clock. It's 2-hour segments starting at 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Tai means highest or biggest. Chi, so Tai Chi, they call the lung Tai Chi. That's the highest point of Chi at that point. So you're starting your day at the best, so to speak.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then the emotional piece, which I always find really fascinating for each organ system and each element. The emotion for the lung is grief and sadness. So whenever anyone comes to the clinic and we're working on grief and sadness.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of that coming on. So this is really important for you folks to know. Then we work on the lungs. Because we help support the lungs, because oftentimes what will happen next is they get sick. Because their lung chi is compromised, their lung energy, then their immune system goes down, their wei chi is compromised, and then they find themselves getting a cold or some type of flu, that type of thing. So really supporting the lungs is important, and there's so many ways to do that. One of the other emotional pieces that I love to talk about with the lungs is it's also the lungs have to do with letting go.
Oh, yeah.
And that can oftentimes be part of grief. When we're ending something or saying goodbye to something, it could be death, it could be relationships, it could be a job. Just the grief piece, letting go, that is oftentimes coupled. And letting go is so important, and that can be emotionally, or right now I think there's a lot of people also doing the physical letting go of stuff.
Right. We are. We're working that.
Rick has been like a dog on a bone. It's been great. We are really letting go, purging.
Can I just say one thing about that? If you think about when someone's grieving, they often sigh a lot. So you see their chest literally physically expand and then go down. So what I always tell folks every day, because we work with a lot of grieving, I'm sorry to say, happy to help, but we feel badly for the person, is no one can tell you how to grieve. So we just want to keep the lungs strong so you can grieve to whatever appropriate level you need to. Don't let somebody else, I don't care who it is. They may say it with the best intentions. You grieve how you need to grieve. And like Laura said, it could be the death of a relationship. It could be losing a job. It's still, you're still grieving at some point about that. I just want to say one thing. I said Tai Chi earlier regarding the lung. It's Tai Yin, highest yin. My mistake. I teach Tai Chi, so that's why. Sorry about that.
So that exhale and the sighing is also letting go.
Right.
Because you're exhaling, you're letting it all out. And that's good because letting go is also detoxifying. So we want to just enhance that.
There's so many different levels, right?
Yeah. So a great way to exercise the lungs is that deep breathing, where you're really deep breathing. We talked about it, and we've done it on our previous Facebook Lives with that diaphragmatic breathing, because you are able to inhale deeply and exhale deeply, exercising the lungs, letting things go as you exhale. Also, the action of the diaphragm moving up and down when you're doing that deep breathing is creating more space in your torso and your cavity here for your lungs to expand.
Remember when Laura referenced before, earlier last week, that they're saying with COVID patients, don't lay down. Even though as painful it is, like Chris Cuomo is one of the more famous people dealing with this, they tell them this, get up. I know it's hard. Inhale and exhale. Like Laura just said, keep that lung moving.
Right.
Keep it moving.
Right. So important. So foods for the metal element, foods for the lungs. Angela was actually saying that the heart chakra works with lungs, eating green, and that is really important. Dark green leafies are really important for the lungs. Also, there's a color associated with the lungs, which is white. So oftentimes white foods can be helpful. So you have the spicy element. That's the spicy part of the flavor for the elements. Then you have the color, which is white. So if you combine those two things, white and spicy, there are some really good foods like that, like radish and turnip and onion and garlic. Those are both white and spicy and can help with the lungs. And some of those things, you'll notice, will open up the lungs. They'll make your nose run a little bit. They might make you sweat a little bit, but they're very cleansing for the lungs. So just paying attention to eating for the season. I'm gonna see if orange foods are also really good. A little bit of spicy foods. One of the best fruit for the lung is pear. It can be very good for moistening the lung. So if you're feeling like you have a cough or something, pears can be.
Would you put apple in that same category? They're kind of that same type of fruit.
Definitely.
I have an apple every day, so
definitely. So lots of information about the lungs. There's so much more. There's personality types. There's so much more we can go into. And actually Monday we're going to have a special announcement on how we can dive deeper into all of this. So we're hoping you join us on Monday as well. We'll be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. But Monday we're going to have a special announcement. So excited.
I guess
pregnant? Oh my.
Well, special announcement, right? When we were younger, that always meant, wow,
I don't think they're buying that. We're still in that window. Didn't I talk about my second spring already?
Yeah.
All right.
You did.
Great seeing you.
On that note.
Enjoy the sun.
Goodbye, everybody.
Miss
Thank
everyone.
you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.
Bye.
Take care.